Will draw thousands of tourists when it opens next May.
It's just a very different feeling. It's not a flat screen, it's a dome. You have a real different sense of where you are. The sound capabilities inside are incredible.
Instead of watching a flat screen, moviegoers will feel like they're right in the middle of the action with the screen all around them. Planners say expect to see movies on space exploration or the rainforest. And moviegoers looking for something educational can learn about Duluth's history.
We're hoping to develop a 5-minute leader film, which will feature the area. And whether it's northeastern Minnesota or specifically Duluth, that hasn't exactly been determined yet.
This May is just the beginning of the parade of tourists that will come to Duluth to see new attractions like the theater, and city officials say they're ready.
We are expecting this year about 3.4 million visitors to come to Duluth, most of them definitely being here during the summer, and they will have about a $240 million economic impact on the city.
City officials say the Lake Superior waterfront is one of the most attractive places in the city for tourists and longtime residents. And until they run out of room, projects like the theater and the Bayfront Mall will keep going up to keep the beauty of Duluth alive for years to come. In Duluth, Molly McMillan, News 6.
Second and Third Streets in Duluth have long been among the most traveled routes in town, but finding a place to park on the street can sometimes be difficult. Residents are feeling the squeeze during the day as downtown workers add to the congestion. Tonight, a local community group plans to take up the issue themselves. The Central Hillside Community Club will meet at 7 o'clock to make their concerns heard. City Councilor Neil Atkins has a resolution on the table before the council that's designed to help the problem.
Well, one of my recommendations for the art space project was to allow parking on both sides of 2nd Street and 3rd Street, all the way out to 21st Avenue East. I mean, the hospital districts, both St. Luke's and St. Mary's area, the downtown area desperately need parking.
It's like playing musical chairs with your car. Atkins says residents complain of leaving their houses only to find there's no place to park a few moments later when they return home. It's an issue that has residents frustrated, and the community club hopes to find some quick resolution.
We do need to relieve the inconvenience of the residents as soon as possible. The elderly, infirm, mothers with toddlers, grocery shopping, are having to park 2 and 3 blocks from their own homes.
In Duluth, Jeff Davis, Channel 6 News.
And the workshops consist of music, art, dance, drama, pottery, painting, all sorts of things.
Academy Award-winning song from the show entitled Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Anthony. By the mama's feet. He's a brown baby.
No, he'll never build a plant in Hibbing, and furthermore, I hope he doesn't. I am tired of Gino Paolucci's shenanigans, and my feelings go way back when he pulled the pizza roll factory out of here.
Smiling faces passed through the doors of the newly opened N205 Hotel. Complete restoration was possible through a group of Hibbing residents who didn't mind bragging about the hotel's new look with visitors.
This is the result. This is like, you know, you dream the impossible dream. It pays to dream the impossible dream.
In its glory days, the N205 Hotel was filled with ballroom dancers every Friday and Saturday night. Those days are bound to come again with its reopening.
It was really and truly the heart of, now they call it the heart of downtown, but it was the heart of the city at that time.
Part of the ballroom and lobby have been completely gutted, but when finished, they'll look exactly like they did in the mid-20s. Irene Martinson remembers days of dancing in there. That's why she sold her house and moved into the N205.
To me, it's a dream come true. I don't think there is a place I would have been happier in.
She especially enjoys her view of the city. She says it's a constant reminder of a time when the N205 was the favorite place to meet friends. Now, by living there, she plans to keep those friends forever.
But I think there's a time and a place when you have to make a move. And I think my timing was perfect.
In Hibbing, Molly McMillan, Channel 6 News.
Sam Witherspoon, Keith Hermanson, and Peter Moore were gunned down during a party in the kitchen of this home on East 7th Street on March 28, 1994. The gunman was Todd Warren, enraged over what he believed were sexual assaults to the two girls he'd come to the party with. He's been convicted and sentenced for the killings. During his murder trial in January, witnesses testified that Doug Toll was with Warren as Warren drove to his parents' house to get a gun. Witnesses testified Warren and Toll planned the murders during the drive from and back to the party house on East 7th Street. One witness testified that Warren said, "I'm going to get them. I'm going to shoot them in the head. This is no movie. It's the real thing." Toll replying, "I know. I'm with you on the thing." And prosecutors alleged the two played God, discussing who would die and who would be spared. But whether or not Doug Toll loaded the gun is less clear. During Warren's trial in January, no one ever testified as to who loaded the gun. However, a statement by Warren that Doug had, quote, snaked him by putting bullets in the gun indicates that Warren himself believed that Toll had loaded the gun. The trial has been moved to St. Cloud after Judge Galen Wilson ruled that the repeated dissemination of potentially prejudicial material creates a reasonable likelihood that the defendant cannot obtain a fair trial if the matter is tried in Duluth. Ironically, the trial is being held in St. Cloud, where Todd Warren is serving concurrent life terms for the slayings of the three men. Bill Lund, Channel 6 News.
It's no secret the Northland is famous for its abundant clean water. We are the source of the Mississippi, the land of sky blue waters, on the shores of the largest freshwater lake in the world. What you don't know is that same water is making us sick. Channel 6 News has obtained documentation of waterborne disease outbreaks throughout our region, including Tofte, Ely, Orr, and Duluth. Hundreds of Northlanders with severe gastrointestinal illness.
It's real similar to just plain old flu, stomach upset, maybe nausea, diarrhea, sort of the classic.
The source in each case, drinking water. St. Louis County epidemiologist Larry Sundberg tracks down waterborne disease. He was tipped off to a huge outbreak at a North Shore resort in 1990 by members of a family who thought they had food poisoning. Sundberg went looking for others who may have been sick and discovered something much larger than expected.
We found 67, but looking at the history, the average attack rate, what percentage of those people stayed or got sick, some indications of how long this outbreak had been going on. We figured probably up to 800 people actually got sick from this outbreak.
Sundberg asked us to not identify the resort. For months, resort patrons were drinking water contaminated by raw sewage. An improperly installed septic system was flowing directly into a well. When we contacted doctors at the Cook County Clinic, they had never heard about it, even though hundreds got sick. The Environmental Protection Agency says this should be no surprise because only a fraction of waterborne outbreaks are recognized, investigated, and reported. Contaminants get into drinking water a variety of ways, everything from sewage leaking into wells to inadequate disinfection and filtration of surface water. Health professionals say the sicknesses that result go undetected because the symptoms are generic, and doctors can't test every patient that comes in with a flu-like illness.
And most of the time it really wouldn't matter for that particular person. It might matter public health-wise, tracing down a well or a specific, sanitary district. But for that person, most of the time, treatment isn't needed, no matter what the cause is, frankly. Most of the time, the symptoms will go away and they'll be fine.
But it's not fine for Larry Sundberg, who believes many more of us get sick from our drinking water than we realize.
Our ability to detect those outbreaks is limited, put it that way.
Right.
We cannot afford to continue to take risks that may possibly affect public health and safety in the community.
Ashland's water director is openly worried that drinking water pumping through the city's plant has the potential to make people sick.
I think it's better to modernize now, knowing what we know, than wait for something to happen like happened in Milwaukee.
What happened in Milwaukee is the 1993 cryptosporidium outbreak, where 400,000 got sick and over 100 died from drinking city water. The problem came at a time of high turbidity in Lake Michigan, the source of Milwaukee's water. Turbidity is a scientific term for a number of particles suspended in water. It's an important measure of drinking water quality, for as the number of particles increases, so does the risk of crypto-contamination. The turbidity level of Milwaukee water was just a half point over federal standards during the cryptosporidium outbreak. In Ashland, federal standards have been exceeded on 270 days over the past decade, sometimes by as much as 5 times the limit.
Again, I go back to, do we wait until we have a Milwaukee situation or something like that before we decide to move ahead?
Cryptosporidium hasn't been detected in the Ashland plant, but state investigators found crypto in 5 of 6 area streams, and those streams flow directly into Lake Superior. A leading researcher from the Medical College of Wisconsin says Ashland and other communities using surface water are putting people at risk.
Sampling of treated water from water supplies around the country has shown cryptosporidium and giardia in up to 50% of the water supplies in the country using surface water.
And surface water is used for drinking in both Duluth and Superior. Duluth and Superior's water plants are much newer and more sophisticated than Ashland's, using high-tech filtration systems and computerized turbidity meters. But Milwaukee's plant is modern too, and it failed. Water experts say they can't promise it isn't happening here.
People are getting sick with crypto and not in large outbreaks like occurred in Milwaukee. It's probably true that most cases are never detected, are never recognized as outbreaks, and that there are continuing to be cases of waterborne infectious disease around the country.
Most waterborne disease outbreaks occur in private water supplies during spring and summer months. If you get your drinking water from a well, it is a good idea to have it tested every couple of years. The most common source of trouble is a faulty septic system.
If you're on an individual septic system or well, Make sure you maintain your septic system, because you can end up basically contaminating yourself.
If you and others around you develop symptoms like nausea, diarrhea, and chills, don't assume it's the flu.
I don't know how many people are out there with giardia or waterborne illnesses that never, consider it bad enough to see a doctor.
If you do go see a doctor, ask to be tested for a waterborne disease, because your doctor will probably assume it's just the flu. If you're drinking city water, you're much less at risk. But remember, a modern city water system failed in Milwaukee, making hundreds of thousands sick. Experts say you should get to know more about your city water plant, like how up-to-date its technology is and what kind of training employees have.
No matter how good your plan is, the operation of the plant is what's going to determine how good the water is.
If you have immune system problems, drinking bottled or boiled water is a good idea. The people who died in Milwaukee's cryptosporidium outbreak were AIDS patients or other people with chronic illness. Environmentalists say everyone who drinks tap water should demand higher federal standards. Congress is considering the Safe Drinking Water Act this month.
Oh, I'd like to see it totally rewritten to really begin to clamp down on public water supplies. The variance provisions, the exemption provisions are gross. I mean, my God, you can drive 10 Mack trucks side by side through the holes that are currently in the Clean or in the Safe Drinking Water Act. And that stuff needs to be tightened.
3.5-year-old Becky Furman's chronic cryptosporidiosis left her in constant pain.
You have tummy pain. Where is it?
Right in my belly button.
Right in your belly button, yeah.
Becky was an otherwise healthy AIDS patient who contracted crypto from drinking city water in Milwaukee, leaving her father Rick bitterly asking why.
If, in fact, crypto is what finally takes Becky away from us, I want to send somebody a thank you note for taking our child away.
After battling the waterborne parasite for more than a year, Becky became the 105th person to die from Milwaukee's crypto outbreak. It killed more than a dozen cancer, heart, and transplant patients, as well as 80 AIDS patients.
Children and babies, elderly individuals, and I guess others with chronic disease, intestinal diseases where their own metabolism can't quite cope with the extra insult.
In Milwaukee, people in high-risk groups weren't given a warning about their drinking water. Regular testing of the city's water supply didn't even indicate there was a problem. Epidemiologists say the outbreak wasn't even discovered until stores throughout the city began running out of two items: toilet paper and anti-diarrheal medicines. Meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of people thought they had the stomach flu, when in fact their drinking water was making them sick. Since Milwaukee's crypto outbreak, the Environmental Protection Agency has come forward saying drinking water regulations aren't tough enough. The Safe Drinking Water Act requires public water suppliers to test for various contaminants, but not cryptosporidium. That's something environmentalists want to change.
Over the years, the Safe Drinking Water Act has essentially been whittled away piece by piece to the point where one has to wonder whether it's that much better than nothing.
Becky Furman's family will tell you drinking water regulations are just that, nothing. They weren't enough to prevent crypto from taking their daughter's life.
A music store in downtown Duluth had a storage van broken into on the night of Tuesday, April 4th. The van was parked at the rear of the store with the doors padlocked. At least 2 people were involved in the theft, and they needed a pickup truck or another van to carry off the things they wanted. They cut the locks and stole professional sound equipment and speakers, which the music store rented out for stage productions. The equipment was heavy and cumbersome and included CD players, audio monitors, equalizers, and processors. This equipment will be sold to or used by someone involved in stage productions. Crime Stoppers will pay you up to $1,000 to find out who these thieves are or what they did with the equipment. When you call, we never ask your name, so you will remain anonymous. Call us about this crime or any crime. Our number is 1-800-974-TIPS. or 723-ENOUGH.
Thanks very much. Thank you, President Pilon. Thank you.
Ancestors who came to this area came on the basis of... Duluth is a different part of Minnesota. Lake Superior is our ocean, and Duluth is our Mediterranean up here. And we look on you as almost a separate people, because you set such a high example for the rest of us. I'm on a kiss and murder trial, and slipping in something that's crueler and less humane. It won't give our children the same chance to enjoy the richness and beauty of life that we want.
By golly, it's up to us to stand up and do something about it. And if we don't, then doggone it, we're just as guilty and just as lacking as the individuals that are allowed to run around and go do as they darn well please.
Principal some 40 years ago here in Superior. I was principal of the Howe and the Lincoln schools. I don't know how many remember the Howe school, but that was over on 24th and Banks. We didn't have secretaries in those days. Life has changed quite a lot since though at that time.
The new retrofit kits are available at the customer service desk for any customer who has purchased in the past the loop style blinds, and they're free of charge for any customer that has purchased these at the desk. They can just go right in and ask for them.
Spring and in the fall to wrap up the year. Our hope is to get people out, see what busing's like. It's not only a bike to work contest, but a walk, carpool, or bus to work. And the idea is to try it once and maybe turn people on to see if they can do it maybe more than once, maybe twice, and maybe 365 days a year. Well, I got a, obviously. Well, you know, if you're wearing do you want some bike footing or footage or what? Okay. That would be great. Okay. Just because it probably feels awkward and all that.
Are you ready?
We're just going to take a couple of measurements and then we'll take some pictures.
Lou-Ann Triai has been battling skin cancer for more than 20 years. In that time, she's had about 20 basal cell carcinomas removed, only to see them grow right back within a matter of months. That's why she was anxious to try a new experimental treatment called electrochemotherapy. First, doctors outline and anesthetize the area to be treated. Next, they inject a cancer-fighting chemotherapy medication. Then, they use a special caliper fitted with electrodes to deliver several electrical pulses to the cancer.
Here's how it works. Think of my closed fist as a cancer cell. The electric pulse makes an opening in that cell, allowing the cancer-fighting medication inside. A few minutes later, the cell closes, trapping the medicine.
And the nice thing is they close back up, the drug can't get back out. So, and once it's in there, it's pretty effective. It'll destroy the cells very, very rapidly.
Dr. Heller has tried the procedure on 13 patients. Some have been followed for a year with no tumor regrowth. He says the real test comes with 5-year follow-up. Lou-Ann was treated 4 months ago. The redness is still fading, but the skin cancer has not come back.
I'm waiting for them to figure out a way to do them on my face because I have a lot. That's where most of mine were.
And that's just one of the future possibilities for electrochemotherapy. I'm Irene Mayer for NBC News.
That concerns me, Twin Ports. My concern is that they be relocated within the city of Duluth and not losing other business across the bay. And I know the jobs stay intact, but we lose tax base if something else goes over to Superior.
We ask you to fill us with an urgency. Thank you for your love and care. Thank you for... Ready, aim, fire!
And most of them, you know, that are here died of natural causes, you know, but we have a lot of veterans that have, you know, we never did know where they were, where their body is buried, and that makes a difference too. And like he said in the program down here, there's a lot of soldiers, sailors are buried at sea. And of course, some of them were so terrifically mangled in the service that you couldn't find them anyway except their identification tags. So it's one of those things.
The person that started the fire is responsible or liable for the civil costs, the cost of extinguishing or suppressing the fire, and the cost of damages to buildings, trees, etc.
Long awaited, the much promoted movie about modern-day romance in Iowa has arrived. It's not often that Hollywood gives us such unforgettable characters as those played by Clint Eastwood and Meryl Streep. Eastwood directed the film.
He did everything that he had to do willingly and without a lot of drama. He just opened his heart in
what's there. Sometimes I will be passing flowers, and the reason for that, you might have a better view a little bit.
Annual meeting in Duluth, and today we came out to Jay Cook Park with a group of our members, and just to see the wildflowers that are blooming and to see the reason why the Conservancy is here, and that is to protect biodiversity.
Tours, it takes on a reddish pinkish cast, and you will see purple. They were as white as this plant at one time. It's very interesting. This plant takes at least 5 to 6 years to produce a flower. You will notice that some
A wholesale club in Hermantown had a huge amount of electronic equipment shoplifted on Friday, April 28th. Police know at least 2 men broke into one of the display cases when it was left unattended. They stole 4 notebook computers and 6 camcorders valued at over $13,000. They casually loaded them into a shopping cart and then strolled around the store like nothing happened. When no one was looking, they bolted out an emergency exit which sounded an alarm. They quickly blended with other store customers. Crime Stoppers is looking for any information you have about these men or what happened to the laptop computers or the camcorders. We'll keep your name a secret and give you a reward up to $1,000. Our number is 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
Is not food, then we're back here again to look at that license. And if he doesn't,
I'm going to pursue other career opportunities out in North Carolina. I'm anticipating going into business out there in the fall, and we're taking our things and moving out there to seek success in those fields.
type food is going to be there. I think what he wanted to begin with was to enhance one another. It seems that's what the Hammond Avenue was asking about. She was live music cabaret. You can't.
I don't believe he has applied, when he applied to go to 1007 Tower, there was a
This happened, and I know last year we denied, I believe, a Bell's license. I believe that's still operating by virtue.
It is on its top.
the small bedroom, and to get out, they threw a TV out the window, and he came over, and as my husband was trying to unlock and, you know, get outside, and he's like, "You gotta help me get the kids out." And there were six of them in the trailer, and they did. They all got out.
Dad woke us up screaming, "There's a fire in the basement. Come on, we gotta get out." And he was gonna take us downstairs to get out, but it was too smoky and we kept coughing, so we jumped off the roof.
Robin Leach, where are you? It's Lifestyles of Pampered Pooches.
And it's kind of like you go on vacation and so does your dog. You know, we're trying to make it like a summer camp for the dog.
An outfit called Best Friends Pet Care has renovated a traditional kennel on Route 73 in Cinnaminson, New Jersey, and turned it into a pet resort. You might call this place a Holla Dog Inn. Just from the outside, it kind of looks like a motel. And they've thought of everything for these pooches. They even have a fire plug to make them feel comfortable. The dogs are in clean cages, each with an outdoor patio. But the cats, they are really living.
This is our cattery. Hi, kitty.
The cats live in 3-story cat condos with clear windows, no bars. A view, if you will.
And we have toys where we play with the animals. And the service is a 15-minute one-on-one with a staff member, and it's a $4 charge per 15-minute session.
A cat suite with view runs $10.85 a day. A medium dog suite, $12. And that includes a lambskin rug to sleep on. These pampered pooches may not want to go back home with you after this kind of treatment.
Place to really be on, and sailing is a real nice quieting sport.
With the wind as their steering wheel, this team of sailboats is guided by determination and freedom. It's regattas like this one captured on home video last summer and the desire to share the experience with others that put the mast in motion for sailing classes.
We really created this program so that anybody in the community will have an opportunity to come down and experience the thrill of sailing.
Several community agencies have put together sailing classes that'll start in a few weeks. With special sailboats like these 2.4 meters that don't tip over, people of all ages and abilities can learn to glide over Lake Superior waves. Instructors say the purpose of teaching these classes is to show potential sailors the lake isn't that intimidating. The first step is getting your feet wet. Recovering safely, the first lesson taught by the Duluth Community Sailing Association.
Well, I think it's the first gaining of respect for the lake, and that they'll realize that, the lake, with proper use, is a fun place to really be on.
Classes will cover everything from safety and basic skills for the young beginner to racing for the advanced sailor.
I think sailing is really just a real peaceful, therapeutic, relaxing, and joyful sport. And it can be enjoyed by a wide variety of people.
In Duluth, Molly McMillan, Channel 6 News.
That
our record is the best. You know, Mr. Burke's obviously is more of an unknown, other than you know, a few press release opportunities for him to be on TV, but people really don't know his record over there. You know, that will be exposed, the other councilors' records will be exposed, and mine will be exposed, and people have a great opportunity to compare, and as I said, I'm confident that they'll say that they believe we've done a good job for the people of this community. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's nice to I mean, get away from everyone, you know, be able to key myself into myself, and I don't know, it's kind of spiritual.
There has been substantial evidence of...
This language is unacceptable as well as sophomoric. Words that incite violence, regardless of political motivation, cannot be tolerated. After all, the Constitution does not require that a government stand by helplessly when extremist ideas, combined with an arsenal of weaponry, are used to intimidate American citizens. As Jackson wrote, the Constitution is not a suicide pact. Mr. Chairman, individuals and organizations that oppose substances
indicate an organized effort against law enforcement officials by militia members. Our police
would suddenly discover that he or she was injured on June 30th, 1992, we would still have...
9 present.
Thank you. Adjourn would be in order. And we will then begin our committee of the whole. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Through the no-go zone. When I go to the no-go zone, the sail's going to start flapping, right? Then it's going to turn around, and it's going to catch wind again on this side.
Learning the ropes, or sheet lines as they're called by sailors, is part of today's lesson. Eventually, Troy Geary and Steve Sorensen will be coasting over the bay.
A lot of it's setting up situations for people to succeed in sailing and in boating and doing whatever we're doing out here.
With a light wind rippling Lake Superior and the perfect sailor's knot in place, they're ready to test the water.
Ready for your first sail? Okay, pull in on your sheet some more.
After a morning lesson, it was time to put their skills to the test and take to the bay.
Aim for the flagpole on the pier.
On the first day, beginners venture into the bay with a fishing boat and their excitement as a guide.
This part right here that goes across here is called the boom, because if it hits you on there, it's called the boom.
It's a challenge instructors believe is within everyone's reach, where experience or age doesn't matter. Because here, there are no boundaries, just the wind and freedom.
Everybody just learns to sail once they try it, I think.
In Duluth, Molly McMillan, Channel 6 News.
What the Senate proposes is that it go to $106 and the House to 80.
Absolutely stunned to see 2.5 weeks ago in the national poll that over 50% of seniors still did not know that there was talk in Washington about cutting Medicare and Medicaid. Over 50%. And they need to find out in a big hurry so that they can have, so they can sound off and make whatever comments they want to make before the horse is out of the barn.
On Social Security, Russell, I just want, and for all those who are
pretty happy to see. We get quite a few people on the dock, and at our medical clinics and dental clinics, hundreds of people are there. And that's very rewarding to go to a clinic and meet people and talk with people who've never been to a doctor or a dentist in their entire lives, adults.
You could set your watch to it. Every 57 seconds last night, the foghorn blared over the lake. And according to resident complaints, it blared over the lake, over the hill, and as far up the shore as Two Harbors.
The foghorn turned Duluth's East Hillside neighborhood into a battleground of sorts as residents tried all kinds of tricks to help keep out the noise.
Randy Cook lives in East Hillside. He says he used these professional noise reduction devices, cotton balls, his air conditioner, and a floor fan at the same time, and still didn't sleep a wink.
You can't have your dog barking at night. You can't have loud music playing at night. You can't have, if your neighbor has a loud party at night. There are ordinances against these things. It astounds because this is city sanctioned. It's okay.
While the Foghorn Group Toot has its horn going on contract with the city, Mayor Gary Doty is in a quandary. He wants to put a baffle on the horn, but is running into red tape.
But we've run into the problem that the Historical Society, because it's on the historic register, says that plans have to be approved to show what exactly we have in mind before the baffle's going to be put up.
A compromise agreement reached last month with Toot stipulated the horn will go back into operation July 1st, no matter what. It's a battle between bleary-eyed residents and those who want the horn sounding right now.
It went so far as having one city councilor suggest that those people that don't like it, that we give them earplugs. You know, to me, that's not the way we should do things.
Randy Cook agrees.
When my girlfriend left for work this morning, she says, we're moving out of the city.
In Duluth, Jeff Pappas, Channel 6 News.
You are to hold the 8th District Alderperson office for a 9-month term commencing July 5th, 1995 and ending at the spring election of 1996.
Fisher.
Here.
Councilor Lansway.
Here.
Councilor Nolan.
Here.
Councilor Bruce.
Here.
Councilor Fennessy.
Here.
Councilor Cotter. Here. Councilor Gramont. Here.
Not to the unfortunately as a game. So.
Could you also mention one thing? What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think it really depends on the clothes or things that, it's just that, the things that you do that people seem to think they're in a gang, or the thing you dress, they seem to think that you're in a gang, but it all really matters how it is.
And as far as
sing me a Chippewa story under the quarter moon. Who like me has sat daydreaming sweetly as the wind slips over your waters?
So it wasn't that he was out there picking berries.
Okay, so he would.
But he was out. He'd go for a walk. He went there often to the cabin and spend time because he couldn't do much and walking was hard.
Dream tonight of the night when we first met. Picture the smile and dream. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Well, here's the most.
while this matter was pending and returned. And so I don't think it would be is that, you know, you could have been released on your own recognizance. He's been in the community for about 3 years, but I was born and raised here, so I mean, maybe then I would have something a little differently. He is a foreigner, and so the court then might have some considerations, although he has left the country while this matter was pending and returned. And so I don't think that's a big risk, but there was nothing wrong with what the court did.
Shooting two of the three men in the stomach.
All three left the home. Well, two jumped in the car and took off, and the other one was left on foot walking down the road. He eventually ended up at the Barnes ambulance service building and reported the incident, and then he was taken into custody shortly thereafter.
The two who were shot got into a car, and they were found dead in that car about 6 miles away along 27.
My criticism was aimed at Tom Paradise, because Tom's always a guy that says fair, 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 and he lumps all politicians into this group, and it's always all politics. And that was the reason that it was going to be that way.
Fighters always stress the point that they want to give everybody the opportunity. Well, this is their chance. If they are still going to hold the forum, hopefully they'll invite the other three candidates. Just be fair. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or embarrass anybody, but there are three people that are being left out, and it's just not right.
Tom would have been to separate the two, then let Channel 3 do one and let Fight do one, and Fight's supposed to be out there fighting for democracy, then have one with all 7, and then if they want to do a separate TV one, then, and explain why they can only do 4, then fine. Sure. But,
I seen him there.
Some people don't believe Ed Kyle when he tells how a big black bear tore through a screen, lifted a window, and crawled through into his living room. But he's got the chocolate paw prints to prove it.
There's muddy chocolate syrup tracks all over the place, on the stove, the counters, the floor, the refrigerator, everything had chocolate syrup on it.
Ed, his wife Lana, and their 3 kids were all sleeping Sunday night when the bear decided to move in. The bear rummaged through the pantry and knocked over the refrigerator.
The table was shoved over there and the refrigerator was laying on the floor here. The freezer door was open. The pantry was all tore down and laying on the floor.
The bear ran off, but came back 3 times the next day, once to eat the garbage and once to try to get back into the house. The 3rd time, Ed shot at him.
See nothing, and my wife said, there he is, he's right there. He was right where that cement was, and he was coming right at us. And that's where I shot him at.
The wounded bear ran off into the nearby pasture.
Right here's where he laid down. The blood in the grass. And then we followed his trail, right? You can kind of see where it goes. Right back through the grass. He went right back up to the driveway up there. And then he went down my driveway and across the road into the woods.
Following a trail of blood, conservation officers searched the woods for the wounded bear, but couldn't find him. Conservation officer Mike Ruza says this is the first he's heard of a bear going into a house.
Bears generally don't get into homes like that. That bear was just a little more aggressive there, getting in like that. Normally a bear, they'll come into a yard, they're coming for food, that's the only reason a bear does anything.
Officer Ruza says he doesn't think the bear will come back to the cow home, but Ed and Lana aren't so sure.
I have no idea what's going to happen. I'll keep a gun loaded close.
In Black Duck, Liza Olson, Channel 6 News.
I don't have any idea about that. Okay. Depends on the weather.
And that has been the sentiment of most of the firefighters and forestry officials for the past few days. The rain has helped to dampen the fires, but winds may cause more problems for firefighters. Explosives and hand crews help to dig a first and secondary line around homes, lodges, and other businesses close by.
Well, as far as our position here on this point, if the winds come out of the north, strong winds out of the north, there's always a possibility of spotting here amongst these structures and homes, and lodges and that. And that is our major concern, personal property, private property.
Watercrafts are not admitted in the lakes. Homeowners around the Seagull and Saginaw Lake who can reach their homes by car are allowed in the area, but at their own risk. Residents along the lake who have to canoe to their homes are still advised to stay clear of the area. Outfitters and their clients must show proper identification in order to get through roadblocks. And it's these areas that fire crews are trying so hard to protect.
To the north, even though in Canada there are some cabin structures and others out there that it could eventually burn to, but not large resort or outfitter developments like we have in this area.
Airdrops continued, but a tanker that blew an engine had to drop its fire-retardant cargo in Disappointment Lake. The tanker made it safely to Ely and is now en route to Denver for repairs. This may put a crimp in firefighters' efforts, but officials still hope to have the fire under control by Wednesday evening. On the Gunflint Trail, Quinn Mosby, Channel 6 News.
What we're going to do, we're going to hike down the trail here to the Mary Hill Park. Let's get started, then we'll go down trail this way.
Some might say that at age 84, Loretta Shefflin, well, she's got a lot of miles on her.
It's a one-family home.
In fact, she has 273 miles, and that was just last year alone. Loretta's been walking trails or leading hikes since she moved to town back in 1934.
It was a way of getting acquainted with people, and I love the outdoors, and get acquainted with the neighborhood and the city of Minneapolis. That's prompted me to keep on going.
She keeps on going, maybe 10,000 miles so far, with the Minneapolis Municipal Hiking Club. For this crowd, bragging rights go to those who walk over 400 miles in a year. But Loretta is the inspiration for many.
Well, as long as Loretta's leading the hike, we had to come out tonight, right?
Every Sunday and Wednesday, folks show up no matter what the temperature.
Just right.
So many little things that you just ordinarily do.
Doesn't bother good hikers, hardy hikers, does it?
No, not much.
Somebody gets out and scout stuff, and you get out and around where you wouldn't find a lot of these places if you went yourself.
Well, no, but I mean, even in the heat?
Sure, even in the heat. Cold in the winter, too.
We only in the wintertime, maybe we'll call it off if it's 20 below and a 30-mile wind, or vice versa.
For those that make it out week after week, there are plenty of rewards.
See new areas. I have learned more about the park system and our area since joining the hiking club than I ever thought possible.
I'm one of the younger girls because I'm not 60 yet, and these people are like my models. I really admire them.
Just an interesting group. There's so many different people, and it's surprising with all the differences in the people that the club has been around as long.
For 76 years, hikers have been walking the Twin Cities, making friends, and putting on the miles.
They told us that there'd be a breeze across the lake here, but there's no one.
But it wouldn't be anything without people like Loretta, you know, who is the backbone, you could almost say right now.
And Loretta figures she's got a lot of miles left in her, too.
The leader can't talk and walk and look at the same time.
I'm Ron Shera, Minnesota Bound.
120 of them built around the country that I sold casting kits for.
Tape had a blank in it.
I'm going to try to get there early. They say form up to parade sometime after 11. So. And I think probably 1,000 hours a year at least. And probably a lot more toward the end of the project. Then I was working frantically trying to get it done because you never know how long you're going to live, you know.
Hello.
so the elementary students would not have to intermingle with the junior and senior high, and we recognize that that is a concern of parents and a justifiable one. So that constituted some of the wing design that we have. And we didn't want a school just like everyone else's school.
For most motorists, it's just annoying. But for emergency vehicles, double park delivery trucks can be a real hazard.
A lot of times we just have to stop, let people clear into the intersection so we can find a way in. Other times we just shut our lights and sirens off and wait till traffic flows again. It does get a little frustrating because you're worried about the patient on the other end waiting for you, but there really isn't anything that we can do.
But there is something the police could do. Double parking by anyone, including commercial trucks, is illegal. But Duluth police seldom ticket them.
I think we have to also remember that the city of Duluth is very unique compared to other cities in that it's set into the hillside.
Those steep hills can make parking dangerous for large vehicles. Authorities also say there is a shortage of loading zones, but they don't want to take away any downtown parking to create more. The business advocate group Greater Duluth Downtown Council supports that, saying, so what if double parked trucks slow traffic?
Maybe that gives them a chance to look out the window and find out the many stores that we have down here for them to take a look in.
Downtown business people that we talked to said they recognize the hazard double parked delivery trucks can cause, but they say trucks have few options.
There's no other place to park except for First Street. The avenues require that you put quarters in the meters, and it's hard for them to park on the side of on the avenue, I should say.
In some communities, deliveries are limited to off-peak traffic hours or relegated to back alleys. In Duluth, police say none of those options is being considered. On First Street, Barbara Riles, Channel 6 News.
Where we headquartered them out of VFW and American Legion halls because we have met on a regular basis with the school board with representatives from our administration of the school district.
We can't endorse candidates or anything of that nature. What we do like to do is have an opportunity to speak to these people that are running for office, to where we're coming from, rather than, like I say, spring on them later. Now we need your help.
The school situation is straightened out, which is important to us. The way things are going right now, you know more about that than I do.
I'm a big believer in good schools. We need to teach our kids.
I'm joined today by Carrie Lane from the City of Duluth Animal Shelter. Carrie, thank you very much for being with us.
You're welcome.
All right, now let me just talk here. You brought a friend. Let me hear about who this is.
Well, this is our mystery dog of the week. We don't know who she is, but she's a very talented and friendly dog. We think probably Golden Retriever Husky mix, our best guess.
Best guess? What makes you think that?
Well, she's got a curly husky tail and part of a blue eye, and the rest of her looks pretty Golden Retriever, and she acts like a little of both.
How's her disposition? I've gotten a chance to get to know this dog a little bit. This is one friendly dog. Tell me a little bit about her.
Well, actually, I've gotten to know her a lot better in the last few minutes. We've discovered as we were getting ready for this interview that she knows how to do all kinds of tricks.
What kind of tricks can she do?
Well, she can roll over, she can shake with both paws, she can sit, and who knows what else we haven't discovered yet.
It's just a matter. She might be writing the Great American Short Story the second after somebody gets her home. Now, how long has she been at the shelter?
She's been there about 2 weeks, and somebody found her up on West Skyline Boulevard and picked her up, and so, you know, who knows if her owner just didn't bother to look down there or what, but she was a stray dog.
Okay, fair enough. If somebody's interested in adopting her, what do they have to do?
It's $10, and you just come down to the city animal shelter between noon and 3:30 and pay your $10, and she's yours.
Now, what type of other pets do you have down at the shelter? Do you have lots of cats and dogs?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. We have lots. Especially right now, we have lots of spayed and neutered cats, and we've got some declawed cats, too. Our cat cages are just full, and about half of them are altered already, so it's probably a good time to get a cat. We've got several kittens, and we've got lots of other dogs, too.
Okay, now for most people, a cat is almost the perfect pet, really. It really fits into almost any home. What about the kind of dogs that you have? Do you have ones that are suited for older couples, families with children, that type of thing?
We've got a smaller, a real cute, fluffy, white, smaller dog that almost looks like it's a Welsh Corgi, maybe a West Highland White Terrier mix. It's a really unique dog. And the rest of them are bigger dogs, but they're all really nice dogs right now.
So you have lots with sweet dispositions.
Oh, yeah.
Carrie, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Good luck to you, Mystery Dog. If anybody's interested, they can contact the City of Duluth Humane Society Shelter.
I can't believe that somebody has so much evil inside of them. And I never thought I had it in me, but it's there now.
The pain and tears of family members helped send David Spanbauer away forever. Because of the 1994 sex predator law, relatives of Cora Jones, Ronnie Eichstadt, and Trudy Jetski were guaranteed he would never be released without supervision. State Senator Alberta Darling introduced the law last June.
This is a community protection bill. What we're trying to do is not punish the individual again, but we feel the scales of justice are tipped way out for the rights of the individual and not enough for the rights of the community to be protected.
Since the law took effect, Darling says petitions have been filed against 72 sex offenders. The majority are white males with an average age of 44, although they range in age from 23 to 80 years old. 90% of them have been diagnosed as pedophiles, and they generally victimize boys and girls between the ages of 7 and 11. State Attorney Jim Doyle says even though Washington State recently found its sex predator law unconstitutional, he doesn't think that will happen in Wisconsin.
The Wisconsin law differs in a number of important respects from the Washington law. We have better procedural safeguards built in for people. There's more review of this decision under the Wisconsin law, so we're hopeful that it's significantly different from the Washington law, that this law will be upheld. This is an important law in my mind for public protection.
Again, at that time, the police department took a real active role. Colors that are specific.
I don't think it's a problem at this time. I don't think they are out of control because the police department and the court system has taken a real proactive role in dealing with such problems.
drive-by shooting came as no surprise to Superior Police. They'd seen these kids wearing colors and exchanging gang signs. But it shocked the community. Many reacted by saying it simply wasn't true.
This is just some local kids that were involved in a dispute starting over a minor issue. And it's nothing to do with gangs. It's just to do with, you know, some disagreements between these kids. And unfortunately, the feelings escalated until somebody took a step beyond and, you know, went too far.
But Superior Police say it's this type of attitude that could lead to more trouble. They say the community must not make excuses for or tolerate any gang activity.
We can continue to arrest, we can continue to hold people accountable, but really the only answer of gang activity in Superior is the involvement of parents and providing consequences in the home.
The experts say those consequences have also got to come in the courtroom. And some say juvenile laws have made that tough to do in the past.
When I go into juvenile court, if I think a kid needs to be punished, if I think he or she needs to face consequences, I can ask a judge to punish that child. I cannot do that right now.
Superior District Attorney Dan Blank took a hard line in the drive-by shooting from the start, charging the shooter with attempted murder.
I think we've got good, strong evidence to show that someone that goes at night in an alley across an open field with a rifle, with a scope, and finds someone outside that they just had a conflict with about an hour earlier from a rival faction, rival gang, intended to shoot at him.
But Superior Police Captain Doug Osell strongly feels curbing gang violence won't be done through the justice system alone.
The police will only be as strong as the involvement of the community.
Osell feels schools, parents, and peers all must take responsibility, providing advice before the fact and consequences after the act.
It takes a whole village to raise a child.
In Superior, Barbara Riles, Channel 6 News.
Stuff like that, but not up into, that's, I don't know. Eventually, sure. I'll probably have to get a ladder. That'd be interesting. See how many are up there.
Miss Oregon, Emily Orton. And Miss Oklahoma, Chantel Smith, is Miss America.
In Atlantic City, there she is, Miss America.
And we'll let it warm up for just a little bit.
Most of us will never forget the first time we got behind the wheel of a car.
We stop just before the sidewalk. Complete stop. Look left and right. For pedestrians, creep out.
Driver's training was both fun and a little scary as we first learned the rules of the road.
But think again. While traditional driver's training courses are good ways to learn the rules of the road, they often don't teach you what to do when the rules of the road are broken. For that, more and more people are turning to defensive driving schools like the one here at Sears Point Raceway in Sonoma.
You don't mind me driving slow and careful, do you?
The Dodge Skip Barber Driving School goes way beyond driver's training. Here you learn how to control a car, not park one. But before you ever get behind the wheel, the first thing you learn is that most accidents are caused by the driver and not the car.
A common statement that we hear is the car did this.
Okay? You're the one that opened the door, turned the key, started up and drove it down the road. It's probably something that you did that made the car do what it did.
Take it easy, Trixie. The speed limit through here is only 80 miles an hour.
Huh? Oh, I didn't realize we were going twice that fast.
Okay, good. Looking at that the whole way.
At Skip Barber, the emphasis is on technique and awareness as students learn to brake, skid, and slide on all types of road conditions. Each exercise closely monitored by a professional instructor.
You actually got tighter in here, so in one way I was more efficient. Now,
I thought that's what you were aiming for.
Not quite. I was aiming for you to stop there, Janet. This is a braking exercise, Janet. We're going to try and stop the car.
Understanding how your car reacts is key to keeping you safe on the road. Those who have been through the school say they now feel like better, safer street drivers.
I've learned better defensive driving techniques. It enables me to react quicker, you know, with more knowledge as far as the situation and my surroundings.
This is a lot more aggressive. Driver's training, they teach you to be really cautious and kind of drive for everybody else, and this is drive for yourself and make sure that you stay out of the danger zones.
Mothers, fathers, sons, or daughters, the school is open to anyone with a driver's license. Instructors say one's gender has little to do with their ability behind the wheel.
From what we see in the school here, there is no reason to think that men are better drivers than women, or women are better drivers than men. We see every kind of character here. I mean, we see real aggressive ladies coming out here, and we see some real timid guys as well.
At Skip Barber, mistakes are not only allowed, but encouraged. After all, it's better to learn from them here instead of making what could be a far more serious error out on the highway. Pablo Pereira for NBC News.
Give you a feel for it if he goes a few times before you, if you're a little... Okay.
I'd rather have her do this. Threshold braking, understeer, and load transfer. You almost need a dictionary to understand what they mean. But at the Dodge Skip Barber Driving School, you better know what these terms mean because one day they just might save your life. Alrighty. Braking. So you think you know how to stop your car quickly in an emergency. Think again.
Okay. A lot of skidding going on there.
We noticed.
Okay.
We can smell it.
you got the sense of the smoke. Okay. Too much pressure. You got on it nice and aggressively, but then you went for a little bit more pressure.
Now the key to threshold braking is applying just the right amount of pressure to the brake pedal, then letting up slightly just before you skid.
There you go. That's more like it. That's more like it.
There are so many cars on the roads today, and they're the ones you have to look out for.
Oh, good. Oh, we have an obstacle, James. We have like a semi-truck in the road. With that skill in tow, it's off to the accident avoidance course. Here, you're asked to brake quickly and avoid potential road hazards. Easier said than done.
That situation where you just nail the brakes and turn the wheel at the same time is how most people, if something happens in front of them, that's how they end up embedded in the side of it.
Now what you're trying to do here is not look at what you're about to hit, but let your eyes point you in the direction of where you want the car to go.
But if your eyes had been inside, it would have been a glancing blow rather than a T-bone in there.
Losing control of your car at high speeds can be deadly, especially on wet pavement. Experts say if you begin to slide, stay off the brakes and get ready to perform racing's version of CPR to recover.
It's a very easy concept. If you're sliding the other way, it's very easy. Just go the other way, into the slide. You always correct into the slide. That's the key. And then pause, let off the gas slightly, and back to your forward position.
And finally, after some 15 hours of instruction, it was time to put all I had learned to the test. Visions of Indy dancing in my head. Stay tuned as this novice learns what it takes to become a professional race car driver. Pablo Pereira for NBC News. You don't have to be the next Al Unser Jr. to attend the Skip Barber Racing School. You just have to want to go fast. Top speed in these open cockpit Formula Dodge cars, 140 miles an hour. There's no speedometer in here.
No, there's
Why
not.
is that?
It's not necessary.
Not necessary? It seems either our brake lights or rear view mirrors. And comfort was all but forgotten when these cars were built.
Comfortable?
Not really.
Okay, start it. Okay.
But before you learn the right way to start a race car, you first must listen to a chalk talk. It's here where the real training begins.
To get a good head of steam, you can slide about 30 feet by the apex and tune there, just doing this.
Let's push this car a little bit. Let's see where the limits start to happen. Okay.
Once out on the track, one of the first things you learn is that spinning out is a bad thing. A very bad thing.
These cars are designed to respond instantly to what you're doing, all right? And the car thought you wanted it to spin.
Oh, it did.
Okay.
It was not my intention. Repetition is the key to getting comfortable behind the wheel. Professional instructors monitor your every move, pushing you and the car to their limits.
You need to get used to operating very close to the edges of the track, both on the way into the corner and then coming out again in most cases.
But the real thrill of driving a race car is not experienced until you take to the hilly curves of Sears Point Raceway. Here you're taught to look for the line, the route that's somehow supposed to straighten the course out.
You want to get used to using the whole track, using all the road. The line is critical when you get up to speed. You need to take the largest radius you can through a corner, the biggest, widest arc you can, to carry as much speed through the corner as you can.
Even if you don't want to drive professionally, this school serves a real purpose. Race car drivers say about 80% of what you learn here can also be practiced out on the street.
On the street, from being on the racetrack, it's very easy. You have time to think about things. You know to look far enough ahead. You know sort of what the other guy is going to do. You're anticipating what the other drivers are going to do around you.
So bottom line is, if you have the need to speed, don't do it on city streets. Schools like this one will provide you with the most thrilling ride of your life. Pablo Pereira for NBC News.
A home near 27th Avenue East and 7th Street in Duluth was burglarized sometime over the Labor Day weekend. The burglars made sure no one was home and then forced open the back door. The police believe the burglars were familiar with the house because the only things stolen were sterling silver. The burglars took 2 sets of silverware, several keepsake spoons and trinkets, and a silver bowl. They passed over flatware that was silver-plated and other interesting objects. The loss was over $6,000. Burglary is an ongoing problem throughout the Northland. It happens night and day to homes and in businesses. Some crooks are selective what they steal. Others take whatever they can carry. Do you know anything about the silverware burglary? Crime Stoppers will pay up to $1,000 to get the property back and arrest whoever stole it. Call us at 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH.
I mean, it's right there in black and white that I did lie, and I'll admit that I probably did. But to me, I hadn't had any training for answering questions in court.
It was that lie by Officer Eric Flood that fueled the federal lawsuit. The lawsuit says that Griffith, who is Native American, was subjected to a corrupt and racially motivated criminal prosecution. The lawsuit states the victim of the robbery had described his assailants as white men with tattoos and consistently said no Native Americans were involved. Despite that description, Officer Flood is reported to have approached Griffith with guns drawn, wrestled him to the ground, and handcuffed him. The complaint goes on to say Flood later planted a golden necklace near Griffith in an attempt to connect him to the robbery. A Superior Police and Fire Commission investigation found that Flood had framed Griffith when he was 18 for the robbery. Flood later lied about the evidence during the robbery trial. Officer Flood was suspended without pay for 10 months in spite of a recommendation by the acting chief for a much stiffer penalty.
We were pained by the situation, but came to the conclusion that there could be nothing less than termination.
as the barrel down the road gets close, slide it hard, and they pull.
It's a sure sign of fall. Apples coming off the trees and into various dishes. And in Duluth today, it wasn't much different. A hand-crank cider press was in operation at the Woodland Hills Treatment Center. The only difference, the operators are juveniles, here for treatment and community service.
Basically, the kids in our group are here for a short-term consequence for poor choices they've made out in the community. They have a chance to earn restitution, make community service and stuff.
And judging by this year's harvest, there's plenty of work to do. The Chisholm House Group manages the Woodland Hills Orchard, which has 75 trees and produces about 2 tons of apples. The teens made about 100 gallons of cider by hand today while paying a debt to society.
Through doing the cider pressing, we are selling our cider to families of other groups and stuff in the home, and that money will go towards things for our group. Some of their community service and restitution and stuff like that will be paid off also.
Chisholm House is a part of the Woodland Hills Center. While these juveniles are making cider, other Woodland Hills groups are using the apples for different purposes.
Some of the groups make apple pies and use the money to sponsor trips so they can go to other treatment facilities and see how other kids are dealing with their issues and their problems.
Matson says growing self-esteem of the teens here is important to make them contributing members of society. Today, that was done by working with each other and with nature. In Duluth, Jeff Pappas, Channel 6 News. It's ironic in a way. Rules designed to help minorities in education may now be hurting them. Grant School's enrollment is now 30% minority students, and that's against the law.
We have wonderful programming for kids, and it's, the adequacy of education is there, but, it's a little different situation today.
As of this morning, 453 students were enrolled at Grant, 139 of whom were minorities. That's 30%. State guidelines say a Duluth school can't have more than 25% minority students. To correct the problem, the district has 2 choices. First, it could add 103 non-minority students to make the percentages work, or move 35 minority students to other schools. The building can't handle more kids, and the other option isn't attractive either.
Well, some of the parents that have called said, well, if you have to move my child, I'm going to homeschool them or, do something.
So today, elementary principals are meeting with Superintendent Mark Miles and district desegregation officials. Miles told Channel 6 News today he hopes the state will understand the school's problem. When Spotted Eagle School closed in July, many of its students chose Grant because the language magnet school offers courses in Ojibwe.
Buses come here every morning anywhere between 7 and now headed for the schools.
Are you afraid for your child and all the other children that live on this street, or?
Yes, very afraid. I mean, they're talking about a new mall and more traffic. To me, it's speed and not paying attention to what's going on the road.
Oh, sure.
Last year, just under 1,300 separate incidents of car prowling were reported in the city of Duluth. This year, the city is on pace to shatter that record. In the first 9 months of last year, there were 835 reported break-ins. This year, that number is just under 1,000. That has police concerned.
It's much higher. It's occurring in all areas of the city. There's no real answer for it, but we do have probably a high number of individuals out there doing the car prowls.
The prowlers are searching for the same things they've looked for years, but most importantly, they're looking for you to make a mistake.
Well, stereo equipment is still very popular. They can get rid of it. They can make a few dollars off it. They can sell it. What they do look for is the easiest target. And the easier it is for them, the quicker they're going to take it.
Duluth police say no one area of town has been hit harder than any other, but the most recent rash of break-ins occurred here in Duluth's Lester Park area. They also say there are common sense steps that you can take to protect yourself and your property. Police advise you to first lock your vehicle. Second, remove valuables from places where they can be seen. Putting them in the trunk is your best bet since most thieves search glove boxes. Record the serial numbers of your valuables and mark them in some way.
You know, the nighttime hours would seem to be the prime time for these operators, but they do operate during the daytime. So if you have valuables in your car and it's daylight, it's still a good idea to remove them.
Police admit it's tough to catch the car thieves, but they also remind you that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In Duluth, Jeff Pappas, Channel 6 News.
That guy's in the tree, and I pulled over and I looked, and there's 4 babies in a tree. And I looked down, and the mother had been hit by a truck. The mother of 4 cubs. 3 in the tree. People have been coming by and stopping, and I just see tears in the little kids' eyes going, "The mother in the tree." My husband's a very...
And all of a sudden, boom! I mean, I didn't know what it was.
For Dennis Todd, this is not just another accident; it's another moose story.
I mean, it came out of like nowhere.
It seems Todd was driving home on the Gunflint Trail in northern Minnesota one recent night when nature produced a road hazard. Not a moose sign, the real thing. Suddenly, a moose was up on the hood and into the windshield and into his lap.
It was right in there. Yeah, I had the head and everything was right about in here, and it was doing this moving motion. And next thing I know, I'm crawling out the front here.
Fortunately for Todd, he suffered only minor glass cuts. The moose was not so lucky. It was fatally injured.
Now, interestingly, this is not the first run-in Dennis Todd has had with a moose. A few years ago, he tells us, he nicked another one driving the Gunflint Trail. And then one summer, well, he took a different kind of ride with a moose.
When I first started coming up guiding up here, they said that riding a moose is supposed to be, I don't know, an Indian thing that supposed to give you luck as a guide. So for some reason that stuck in the back of my head.
One day, Todd's guiding dreams came true. He looked up, spotted a swimming moose, and decided to hop on board for a short swim.
I thought, well, this is the opportunity, and so I jumped on it and hi-ho, silver away we went.
Turned into a bucking contest.
She didn't want me on there, and at the time I decided it's about time for me to get off, and she started bucking, and that hump they got on the back of it hit me in the chest.
His exploits made the local newspaper, and he earned a nickname.
Yeah, Moose Cowboy.
But now Todd says he's had it with all of his moose encounters.
I'm ready to call truce with them. I want to eat this one, and that's about all I want to do. And then after that, I'm out of the moose business.
Hear that, all moose on the loose? I'm Ron Chera, Minnesota Bound.
I'm here today on this beautiful sunny afternoon with Denise from the Douglas County Animal Shelter, and we have a nice looking dog here from a mix of lab, shepherd, and what else is?
Husky.
And husky. And you can see beautiful dogs they have there. They also have some cats available. How long does a person know, or how long should he spend with a dog or cat if he comes and looks at them before they know that's the right pet for them?
It varies. Everybody spends a different amount of time. Some people spend lots of time with them, and others see one and they know it's the right one for them. So.
Okay. So this guy here, what are some of the signs you can tell if the dog's a good one for you? If he's going to be like a companion or a watchdog or different?
It depends on what you're looking for. For puppies, you should look for one that's active and friendly.
Like this one here?
Yes.
He's active.
Very active.
And also if they'll lay on their back in your arms is another good sign I heard. Also, when it's a very low cost, when you can go out and help people with these dogs?
Yeah, our adoption fee for puppies and dogs is $40, and they've had their first shots, and they've been wormed and checked for fleas. And
Okay. So after you get the dog, there's not much upkeep as far as their health? Just their normal
Not
shot?
really, yeah. They're normal shots, they're rabies, and then we encourage you to spay and neuter them.
Okay.
And other than that, if they're healthy, they just need to see the vet once a year.
Okay. And also for those that have just single pets at home, single dogs or cats, usually during the day it's nice having another companion along.
Yeah, if they're a single pet, they usually love to have people around. So.
Okay, so when the people are not there, why not another dog? So just head over to the Douglas County Shelter and pick up a new friend or first-time dog lovers, or they even have cats for everybody.
More of the passing lanes in so it makes it a safer highway to travel.
You think passing lane will help with
I've been very pleased with the Department of Transportation's progress, which is finding that sometimes we take for granted. It is what you want it to blend in with the terrain and around someone who has been moving more slowly, or feel better about the fact that somebody can pass me if they're in a hurry. That I decided to support the Brewer Stadium. First of all, I separated the facts from the emotion and decided that the facts clearly demonstrated a benefit to the people of Wisconsin. If you ended up with a new stadium, it would allow a professional baseball franchise to stay and widen the highway, put more of the passing lanes in so it makes it a safer highway to travel.
You think